I'm here in Lossiemouth, in a location I've never been to before, to shoot something that I have never shot before. But the person who I'm shooting it for I haven't met before. His name's Callum. Met him at college. We were on the same college course about a year ago. And today I'm filming a drumming sequence for him. He is a drummer, so I'm filming a little sequence, put it all together, keeping it fairly simple. This is the behind the scenes. Hopefully you've already seen the final product. Let's go. Currently getting set up. This is the room. Lots of light coming in. Drum kit set up. Well, not fully, still tuning it. Okay, let's go for sound check number one. Just play just a couple of hits. Okay, now I just need to take it down to. Okay, can you play a couple of hits?
Good. Do the other break.
You're obviously playing it very lightly the first time.
I did, yeah. That's why I was like, actually, I'm gonna play something different.
Because the first time that was absolutely perfect on the
Yeah.
sound, and then you played that, and it
So I
was
played it- I
and
played-
it was blowing it out. I was like, jeez. Right. Let's try it at minus 21 dB.
I can switch the heads over to the mesh heads, which are quieter.
No, it should be fine. It's just I need to check my audio. Now that should be perfect, bearing in mind it did not peak at all there. Sounds alright. Because I'm right here and I'm speaking into this, and you can hardly hear my voice. And as soon as you play, it get into that halfway even more. So that is good. Alright. All sorted. So the first scene, literally just start somewhere out here.
Okay.
Just walk in, all sort of tired, or rubbing yourself down, and then just sort of sit down. Just pause for a sec. So just lazily pick these up, but then just sort of tired, and just raise them up, and then start playing. And then, without hitting your head on that. And then, so I went. And then what I'll do is we'll do the non-scruffy one, the smart one, and you'll do the same movement and then start playing. And then what I'll do in editing is you start in the scruffy one, and as soon as you hit, I'll then swap to that other wide angle of everything's smart and you're playing.
Okay, nice.
And then I'll just alternate the angle. So let's.
So should I do 2 hands for the beginning, or just because one is like big? Or would you prefer 2 hands?
I really don't mind. Try both.
Alright.
But that does mean, of course, when we get to the clean shot, you'll need to do one on one hand and then one on 2 hands. Focus locked. And action. Perfect. I thought the audio peaked there, which is not good. Let's see. I think one hand is better than 2, to be honest. So we'll stick with that. We'll just use one hand. Oh, well, there you go. Scene 1 done.
Alright, ideal. Right, I'll go get changed.
Yeah.
So my initial plan for this behind the scenes editing section was going to be a bit of editing, film and update, edit, film. However, that would have taken a long time to do and would have ruined my creative flow. So instead I'm going to treat it a bit like a creative process video. I'm not going to run through everything about the editing stage, but I am going to talk about 4 main things that were either a struggle or I'm quite pleased with, and just things I found whilst editing it, as I've never done a project like this before. So the first thing about the editing process is that there was a lot of trial and error. I wasn't sure how long each clip was going to be, each angle. Obviously I wasn't going to use every single angle, but I wasn't sure when do I cut, because sometimes if you have a song, you know that you can cut on the beat, or if there's a guitar you can cut on a certain chord. But because it was all beats, I wasn't able to cut on the beat, otherwise it just would have been cut, just constantly. So it was a lot of trial and error, guessing how long each clip should be. And also one of the difficult bits was at the very start. The key cut at the start of the scene is that first drum hit or cymbal hit, this first cymbal hit. However, soon after he hits that cymbal, he does very quick taps on one of the drums, which I wanted to use one of the handheld side movements of pushing in when he's doing the drum. So of course I couldn't cut straight from that dirty scene to the pushing in scene, because that would have not made sense. So what I had to do, switch at the drum hit and then go immediately into that push in angle. It's not ideal that I had to cut that quickly, but it's what I had to do to make it work. Otherwise it just would have not made sense if you'd just gone straight to that push in angle. People would be confused. The second thing I want to talk about with the editing process was that often there were mistakes or alterations to the speed or pace which made the editing difficult. First of all, shout out to Callum for being part of this project. Obviously, at certain points he made mistakes, musicians do that, and sometimes there were slight alterations of pace, which meant that when I was trying to match up the audio, sometimes the bass audio was perfect, but the next audio of the clip I'm trying to put over was a tiny bit faster or a tiny bit slower. If it's like a fraction slower or faster, it's fine. It's okay, I can use that. By the time the sound travels, it looks like it's perfect. Some clips I just couldn't use because they were too fast, they were too slow, and this links back around to that trial and error of making sure that it looks like the sound of the bass audio is actually coming from the clip you're seeing. There was one section where I had to go back to that very first angle, and he makes a slight mistake that he doesn't make anywhere else. So we just had to roll with it, and I just had to go back to that clip, that section. There, just that little tiny mistake. I had to come back to that angle. So yeah. These last 2 points are something that I'm really pleased of. And it's actually at the very end, when the text comes over, something that I thought of last minute, and that is the blurring of the background. Something very simple. I'm actually quite pleased with this because I was watching it and the text would come up, and I'd done like a border to the text, and the text was big enough that it was easy to read and it stood out, but it wasn't, big enough that it looks weird. And I was thinking, how do I make this stand out more? I'd given it a border, everything, it wasn't standing out. And I was just going through, I think it was the effects or the filters. I was like, is there anything I can use? I was like, oh, there's a blurring the background. So I blurred the background, tweaked it, had it fade in so it wasn't like suddenly it's clear and then blurry. And it definitely made the writing pop more, made the writing stand out, and it wasn't confusing. And the last thing on the list I'm going to talk about, the thing that I'm most proud of, is actually the sound design. Now I've not done a lot of sound design before. I've done like once or twice and it was not amazing, didn't add much. But when sound design, sound effects, whatever you want to call them, is done correctly, it can add a lot of atmosphere to your films, your videos. So at the very start, the things I added in were the traffic in the background, city traffic in the distance. Lowered that so it was just in the background. My microphone sensitivity is all the way down, so I'm not capturing any background noise. When he was taking steps, I added in floorboards creaking as someone steps on it. I had to split these up, splice them, cut them, and and match them to his footsteps, which worked. I think there's one time where the noise happens just before he steps instead of when he steps, but because his foot's behind the drum, it's not that noticeable. I then added in still floorboards creaking, but changed it, adapted it slightly so it sounded like he sat down. It's like a plonk sound when he sits down. He does actually breathe out when he sits down. However, microphone sensitivity is all the way down, so I had to add in a sighing noise. Now the key thing with this was trying to make it sound natural and not like it has been added in. At first, when I first added it in, it was really, really loud. It was very obvious that it was fake and it did not match up, so I had to quieten it down, shift it around, move it around. The final bit of sound design or sound effect I added in was a whoosh, and it's originally a slow-mo whoosh, sped it up a little. It's like a build-up, and you hear it in the background, you're like, oh, we're building up to something, and then it starts playing. So you see how much of a difference that made? Just the slightest of tweaks, the slightest bit of sound effects, sound design makes a whole lot of difference. I'm really pleased with that. Next was at the very end. So yeah, a little bit of sound effects, a little bit of sound design makes a big difference, and I'm really, really pleased with how well that actually came out. It didn't sound too fake. Sure, I'll probably look at this, a year on from now, a couple of months, I'll be like, that sounded a bit fake. For my first time using sound design properly, it's actually not been too bad. So thank you for watching the behind the scenes, and I hope you enjoyed the actual Drum the Difference film, video. If you've not seen it, then why are you watching the behind the scenes? Go and watch it now. But you probably just ruined it for yourself because you now know what's fake and what's real and whatever. Not fake, but edited, let's say. But yes, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall see you around.